what if our obsession with safety is actually making us weaker? That's really the core question at the heart of Nassim Taleb's book, Antifragile. Today, we're going to break it all down, looking at it through the analysis of Santiago Duran, a clinical psychologist who sees this as way more than just an economic theory. He sees it as a blueprint for human resilience. So Duran kicks off his analysis with this powerhouse of a quote, and wow, it just sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? This isn't just some new idea, it's a total wrecking ball to how we usually think about risk, about safety, and even about progress itself. All right, so what's the central problem that Taleb is really attacking here? It's something he calls naive interventionism. It's basically our obsession with trying to smooth out all the bumps in the road, to control everything. But here's the great irony. By trying to stamp out all randomness, we're actually making our systems incredibly catastrophically weak. So let me ask you a quick question. What do you think the opposite of fragile is? You know, like a package that says, handle with care. If you said robust or resilient, well, you're thinking like pretty much all of us. And according to Taleb, you'd be missing the single most important idea. First, let's get our definition straight. Fragile is simple, right? It hates stress, it hates volatility, it hates shocks. Think of a delicate teacup. You apply a little stress, and it shatters. It has a huge potential downside and really not much upside at all. Next up, we have robust. Now, this is what most of us think is the opposite of fragile. It's like a rock. It can take a hit. It endures stress, and it just stays the same, totally indifferent to the chaos happening around it. But, and this is the key, it never actually benefits from that chaos. And here it is, the real opposite. Antifragile. This is a system that doesn't just survive stress, it literally thrives on it. It gets stronger, smarter, and better when it's exposed to chaos and volatility and shocks. It has a small, known downside and a massive, almost unlimited, unknown upside. So this brings us to Taleb's core framework for understanding pretty much everything. He calls it the Triad: fragile, robust, and antifragile. And he uses these powerful metaphors from mythology that just make the concepts click. Fragile is the sword of Damocles, always living under some kind of hidden threat. Robust is the phoenix, which can burn down but always comes back to its original state. But antifragile, that's the Hydra. You cut off one of its heads and two more grow back, even stronger. It literally feeds on the very thing that's supposed to destroy it. Okay, so how do we actually become the Hydra instead of the teacup? Well, Taleb gives us what you could call an antifragile toolkit, a set of rules for harnessing the power of all that chaos. First on the list is the barbell strategy. Now, the most important part here is to completely avoid the fragile, messy middle. You go to the absolute extremes. You put, say, 90% of your resources into something incredibly safe, totally protected from disaster. Then you take the other 10% and you put it into wild, high-risk, high-upside bets. This basically caps your downside while giving you unlimited exposure to positive shocks. Next is a concept called via negativa, which is just a fancy way of saying addition by subtraction. The core idea is that we're usually much better at knowing what's wrong than what's right. So the most reliable way to improve isn't by adding new things, it's by systematically removing whatever makes us fragile. And this might be the most important rule of the whole shebang: skin in the game. A system can only become anti-fragile if the people making the big decisions actually feel the consequences, both the good and the bad. If there's no personal risk, decision makers are incentivized to create fragility for everyone else while they stay perfectly safe. Okay, let's make this really concrete. How do you apply all this stuff to your actual life? Well, here's your playbook. Think about your career for a second. That typical corporate ladder path seems safe, but it's actually incredibly fragile. Your upside is capped, and you're exposed to the risk of sudden layoffs. The barbell approach? Keep your stable day job, that's your 90%, and use your spare time to launch that high-risk side hustle or write that book, that's your 10%, with absolutely explosive potential. And in your personal life, practice via Negativa. Instead of always asking what new app or gadget you should add, start asking, what can I remove? This could be a toxic habit, a client who just drains all your energy, or some subscription that provides zero value. Subtraction is your most powerful tool for improvement. Our own bodies are a perfect example of a naturally anti-fragile system. We get stronger by introducing controlled stressors. It's a concept called hormesis. Lifting heavy weights, intermittent fasting, cold showers, these are all little shocks that force the body to adapt and grow back even stronger. In a very real sense, comfort is the enemy of strength. When you're making decisions, you need to create a simple filter for yourself. Always, always demand skin in the game. You should basically ignore advice from pundits, consultants, or any expert who pays zero price if their predictions turn out to be wrong. You want to trust the doers, not the talkers. So, what's the big takeaway here? Taleb's final message is a pretty stark warning. By constantly trying to protect everything from failure, bailing out failing companies, overregulating tiny risks, we are making our entire society more and more fragile. We're preventing the small, necessary fires that clear out the dead wood in the forest, which all but guarantees a massive, uncontrollable inferno down the line. And this final quote just says it all. Volatility extinguishes a candle, but it fuels a fire. The goal isn't to build walls to hide from the wind of chaos and uncertainty. The goal is to become the fire. So the question this explainer leaves us with is, are you building walls or are you building a fire?